The Girl Who Chased Away Sorrow. The Diary of Sarah Nita, a Navajo Girl. New Mexico, 1864. Written by Anne Turner. Grandmother weaves her story. I am home now from the white man's school, sitting beside grandmother in the shade near our hogan. Slowly, skillfully, she spins wool, winding the long thread on a stick by her leg. Her legs are so thin they worry me, for Shimazani is old. Soon her bones will be buried in the land of our ancestors. My granddaughter, this summer I want to tell you all that happened during the long walk, so you can write it down in the book that the white teacher gave to you. You know some things, but not all. How the soldiers burned our crops and drove away our animals, making us starve. When they came looking for us, we had no choice but to go with them. To Fort Sumner, I add. Her eyes are half closed, remembering. She reminds me that our people called the fort Huelde, a place of suffering in the starving times. Grandmother tells me she can remember the journey because she gave names to everything that happened. The day of the burning, for when the soldiers came, and Silvercoat finds water, for when her dog found a stream. I will tell it to you so you will be there with me. I will weave the story into you like a spun thread to make you strong. For when we remember, we are strong. Grandmother's story begins in the time of the parting of the seasons. I write down that the month is what the white men call October, and the year is 1864. The leaves on the aspens are yellow, and she knows something evil is coming. She can feel it on her skin like a cold wind. Begin with these words, my granddaughter. My mother bends over the plants on the mesa. My pencil flies over the page as I write down everything Simasani says. I only hope that this book is big enough for all the things she will tell me. Signed, Sarah Nita's granddaughter. New Mexico, 1864. Mother tells me about Spider-Woman. My mother bends over the plants near the red mesa. The sun is bright and her shadow long. I remember playing in her shadow when I was little, pretending I could take those arms and wrap them around me, the way I wanted to now. Sarah Nita, are you watching? This is the plant we harvest for the yellow ochre color. She tells me we need at least 3 of such plants to dye the wool. But I am not thinking about that. I'm thinking about my mother. How she smells of sheep and wool and wood smoke. How her hair is always smooth, the way a Navajo woman's hair should be. How her woolen dress is neat and clean, her leggings a soft red in the sunlight. Just this morning she combed my hair with the stiff grass brush, untangling it and clucking her tongue. Now that I'm 12 summers, she told me, I should be taking better care. She wondered how I could get so many tangles in my hair. And did I get up and race around the hogan while she was sleeping? That made Kaiba, my younger sister, laugh. Her hair is never in clumps in the morning, even though she has 9 summers. She always remembers to bathe her face in snow in the winter, so that her skin will be clear and smooth when she is grown. But not me. My daughter, if you were a goat, I would have to pull you by a little rope. Your thoughts keep wandering off. I duck my head, tugging at the plant before me and almost falling. If my mother asks me why my thoughts are like goats wandering about the mesa, I will have to tell her. It is the bad news that Traveler brought, about the Bilagana, the white men, and how they are doing such strange and terrible things to our people, burning our crops and hogans, rounding up our people like animals and driving them away to some far place. My daughter. Mother's voice is gentle but firm. I say that if she will tell me a story while we are collecting plants, then I can listen better. I love her stories. When I listen, I feel I am sitting on a rug with bright colors beneath, with all the patterns clear and beautiful. And so she begins the story of one of our holy people who gave us weaving. Once, long ago, Spider-Woman saw how the poor people were naked and shivering, with no clothes to keep them warm, no rugs to lie on or lie under at night. She wondered if it would not be a good idea to help those sad humans to be happier. And to be warmer, I interrupt. Then I clap my hand to my mouth. My mother walks on to another plant, twisting it easily out of the earth. So, Spider-Woman taught women how to card and spin wool, how to weave rugs of soft earth colors. She gave names to the spindle, every part of the loom, and told us always to spin toward the body, not away from it. That way the wool would be beautiful. But you know, my daughter, that you must always leave a little hole in your rugs. I know that must be so, for if I did not, my thoughts would get all tangled up in the rug, like my hair at night, and I would become crazy like someone with a dark wind inside of them. I didn't want that to happen. Then Kaiba calls to us from far away. She is a small figure in front of our hogans, and I am angry at her for interrupting us. I want to keep listening to my mother's words, to hear her talk about our holy people. Reluctantly, I gather up our plants and head for our hogans. One is mother's, and the other is my aunt's. Both have shade houses nearby, where we can keep cool on hot days. Beyond, I can see the fields where we harvest our corn, squash, pumpkins, and beans. Our brushwood corral is near the shade of some trees to keep our sheep and goats cool. I love walking home. I love how my moccasins make small hollows in the red dirt. I close my ears against fearful words. Kaiba and I helped Mother make the mutton stew that night. We put in some sagebrush leaves for flavoring, and I think I could almost eat the smell, it is so good. I helped Mother grind corn for tomorrow, working the smooth oval stone against the corn kernels, scooped in a broad rock. Back and forth, smoothly, smoothly. I never do anything smoothly. I'm full of rushes, starts, quick jumps. To be still is very hard for me. Mother tells me I'm like our brown and white goat who pokes her face through the hogan door, blinking at the darkness, curious and impatient. Kaiba steers the stew quietly, carefully. Father sits near the fire with the rug pulled down over the door opening. Now it is the time of the parting of the seasons. Nights are cool, the wind is cool. When my mother tells us to come to eat from the big pot, I sniff deeply. I know I could walk a day's journey just on that good scent. The grown-ups talk of corn, harvests, and the time of cold winds coming. I think we will always live like this, the way the holy people mean us to live. Planting pumpkins and squash, hunting deer in the hills, herding our sheep and goats. Nothing can change this. But Father speaks that terrible word again, the one I have heard too often lately, Bilagana. A man riding through today told me his crops were burned by the white men. He was all alone. We wonder at that. To be a Dene, a Navajo, alone, is like seeing one goose flying south. It would never happen. My mother wonders where he was going, but Father does not know for certain. He said some words about going farther west, where there would be no white men. Mother snorts and says there is no place left on earth without white men. They are like locusts settling everywhere. But Father reminds her that there is one safe place left, Tsei, the sacred canyon to the north. He has heard that some of our people are fleeing there to hide, and he has cousins there, family. We could go there too, my father says, if the soldiers, the men in blue, come for us. but he does not want to go there now, not with food stored for winter, not until he knows more about these men in blue. I put my hands over my ears. I do not want to be rude, but if I can just keep those words outside my head, they will not harm us. Words can hurt. Words can kill. They can cure sickness or they can bring sickness down on you. Don't you know that? I want to shout. If you talk about those bad white people, your words will pull them here. I think about winds. I wake in the darkness. Everything is black except for the faint line of moonshine around the door rug. My father snores slightly, while Mother breathes more softly. The fire has gone out. Kaiba is curled beside me, sleeping like a little fox in its den. Outside, our dog, Silvercoat, is moving restlessly and whining. Softly I get up, pull back the rug, and go outside. Wolves? Coyotes? The moon shines down on the trees near our hogan. Shadows splash the ground. When I hold my breath, I can almost hear the land breathing. A deep, silent sigh. I think it says, "You are the people I want to live on me. You, Dene. You will care for me like a mother for her child." Is the land as worried about the white men as we are? Does it wake in the night, afraid of what is coming? My uncle Longlegs told me about the winds in our land, Nita. How one comes from the west, one from the east, another from the north, and one from the south. There is even a little wind that lives inside you, Nita. See the patterns on your fingertips? I stare at them now in the moonlight, though I cannot see the ripples I know are there. My neck prickles as I think. There are inside winds and outside winds, but something... I hate the shivery feeling on my neck. It has happened a few times before, and something bad always followed. My mother told me that her father, who was a great singer and healer, sometimes knew what was coming, just the way a dog scents something unseen. I wonder, is there a wind Uncle Longlegs never told me about? One that brings evil change? Leaves sift down to the ground in a slight breeze, and I run inside to huddle close to my sister, my little fox. I do not want my cousin to see me naked. It is warm today. The sun shining so hot on my shoulders that it feels as if I am standing too close to the fire. Can we bathe in the water hole today, Mother? I ask as she sweeps the floor of our hogan with a sagebrush broom. She answers, not attending to me. And I wonder if she is thinking about that man who rode past alone. Such a thing is a sign. If my mother sees a yellow bird, her face will light up. A lucky day. And she will sing all morning, sure that bad things are far away. So that man alone was an unlucky sign, something to worry and wonder about. But I don't want to think about bad luck today. For me, means yes. So beckoning to Kaiba, we run outside. My younger cousin, Shideji, is there, helping my aunt card wool in the shade of a tree. When she sees us, she asks if she can come too. Aunt tells her it is all right, and taking her stiff grass hairbrush with her, Shideji follows us across the dry ground. Today her older brother, Swift Pony, is watching all of our sheep, so we are free. Our moccasins fly over the earth. We are so happy to have time away from our chores, carding wool, grinding corn, cleaning the ground in or near the hogan, gathering firewood, and fetching water. When we get to the water hole, we see how low it is. In the spring, after the snow melts, it brims along the edges and ripples in the breeze. Now it is sunk into the orange-red rock, with little tufts of dried grass in the cracks. Kaiba takes off her moccasins and hops, saying, "Ouch, ouch, ouch!" Then, "Ooh, ooh," when she puts her feet into the water. We all pull off our dusty wool dresses, beating them with sticks to get out the dirt. There is only room for one person at a time in the water hole, so we wait while Kaiba rubs herself with gravel and ducks her head under the surface. Shideji asks if our father is as worried as hers is. She says he never smiles these days. His mouth is like an upside-down bowl. I sigh that my father is the same. So we make more noise than usual, splash higher than usual, giggle more than we would. And that is why we did not hear Swift Pony approaching from behind us. Aha! Naked girls in the sun, what a sight! He crows, clapping his hands. His sister throws a rock at him, and I pull on my dress before I am dry. Suddenly, I am shy with that boy I've known all my life, and I do not want him to see my skin, to see the strange things that are happening to my body. Where my chest once was flat, now there are 2 bumps sticking out. My mother says that soon boys will look at me differently, that in time I will become a woman and have the Kinalda ceremony. That makes me shiver. I am not ready, not yet. I want things to stay the same and never change. But that cannot be. And I know I do not want Swift Pony to see me naked anymore. I tried to change my father's face. That night, when we cut open a pumpkin and roasted over the fire, I touched father's arm. I have always been proud of him, how tall and straight he is, like a tree, and how his dark eyes look straight into mine. I like his little jokes and how he teases me, pulling slightly on my hair, pretending to be a squirrel scampering up my arm, searching for nuts in my hair. But today he is not teasing me, and he is not smiling. How can I get him to smile? When I listen to my mother's stories, they make me feel that everything is right inside of me and outside. She tells me that I am like my grandfather, her father, who was a great storyteller. I do not know if she's right, but I do know that if I sit very quietly, sometimes a tale comes into my mind, like a bird flying into a hogan. Once, I begin, words and pictures floating into my head. There was a child who was called Worried Girl. Do you know why she was called that? Father looks down at me and touches my nose. Why, Nita? At least he is listening now, instead of frowning into the fire. She was named Worried Girl because every day when she woke up, she did not see the smiles of her mother and father anymore. Her aunts and uncles had faces with clouds in them. Even the sheep looked worried, and the bad goats who tried to run away. It made her face frown. It made her forehead pucker up. She said to herself, "How can I make this worry go away? I want a new name." She thought, and one night, when the moon was out, she heard an owl calling. "Grandfather Owl," she asked, "tell me, how can I drive the clouds from the faces of my aunts and uncles, of my father and mother?" Grandfather Owl hooted softly and beat his wings silently. But Worried Girl saw darkness moving in the trees, and he answered her. "A song can put happiness into a person. A story can take away sorrow." "Thank you, Grandfather Owl," the girl replied, and she hurried back to her hogan. In the morning, Worried Girl got up, swept the hogan, and ground the corn. Whatever she did, she sang as she did it. The songs were like golden leaves drifting in the wind. Her mother's face brightened, her father smiled, and though they did not smile all the time, Worried Girl learned that singing could push sorrow away, that telling stories could keep sadness outside the hogan. She earned a new name, the girl who chased away sorrow. Father sighs, pulling me close to his body. I can feel the heat coming out, and something like the dark stain of worry going away. Your name should be that. He does not say any more. We are quiet around the fire, but my mother's face is not so worried tonight, and Kaiba gives me a special look, almost the way I used to look at my grandfather when he told a story. I never understood how he could remember all those words, all those chants. That is the way she looked at me. We stuff bags with gold. All day we are harvesting corn, beating the dried ears with sticks and catching the kernels on sheepskins my mother spread out on the earth. It looks like gold lying in heaps on the animal skins, and my mother sings as she scoops up the kernels, putting them into sacks to keep for winter. I sing softly with her, happy to be in the sun, putting golden corn into bags. Mother looks small. The next morning, Mother tells Kaiba and me to take the sheep to the low mesa near our hogan. Our family has decided that the sheep must be grazed as near to home as possible. They do not have to tell us why. We know. My sister grins at me, happy to be outside this day. In spite of everyone's worries about the bilagana. I thought I could get back at Swift Pony for sneaking up on us. Maybe I could sneak up on him. When I pull open the brushwood gate of our corral, our dog rounds up the sheep, nipping at their heels. Mother kneels by the fire outside, getting ready to dye some wool for the plants we've gathered. I will see you at sunset, my daughters, she calls, piling dry wood on the fire and readying the pot filled with water. Suddenly, worry settles over me like a cloud. Mother looks small, as if she could be blown away by a cold wind. The hair rises along my neck, and I run back to bury my face in her wool dress that smells of smoke and sheep. Sarah Nita, what is wrong? But I cannot find the words to tell her. Even I don't know. She waves her hand at me, not thinking of me but of the fire, and when it will be ready to dye wool. It is hard to walk away, and I keep turning my head for one last look. My skin still prickles, frightening me, and Kaiba takes my hand as we walk. I guess my mouth looks like an upside-down bowl too.